On a rainy spring night in upstate New York, an ordinary correctional facility became the starting point of an extraordinary manhunt, one that would haunt local law enforcement for years. Inmate Ralph Bucky Phillips, a career criminal with a long rap sheet, had just done the impossible. He vanished. Bucky wasn't your average inmate. At 6 feet tall, with a stocky build and piercing eyes, he was both charismatic and cunning. He grew up in the gritty corners of Buffalo and spent most of his adult life in and out of jail. Car thefts, burglaries, gun charges. But Bucky had one talent that stood out. He could escape. He had done it before, but never from a secure facility like this. That night in April, guards discover a hole in the kitchen ceiling, just big enough for a man to crawl through. Bucky had hidden in a maintenance area for hours, waiting for the perfect moment. Then, like smoke through cracks, he was gone. They say jailbreaks are noisy. This one was silent. For weeks, Bucky Phillips evaded capture. He didn't just vanish. He became a ghost. Locals in the rural counties of western New York began whispering about sightings. Someone stealing food from cabins, breaking into garages, siphoning gas. He was living off the land. He knew the woods, the back roads, the hunting trails. These weren't just random places. They were his home turf. Meanwhile, law enforcement scrambled. Roadblocks were set up, helicopters buzzed overhead, and police dogs sniffed through the underbrush. But Bucky was always one step ahead. It wasn't just luck. It was strategy, and the public was torn. Some feared him. Others rooted for him. He was a symbol of rebellion, a man outsmarting the system. Locals started selling shirts with slogans like Bucky Lives and Run Bucky Run. People began feeding him, hiding him, warning him when police were near. He became something darker than a fugitive, a legend. But legends have a way of turning. By summer, Bucky wasn't just hiding. He was striking back. In June 2000, a state trooper's car was shot at while parked on a rural road. No one was injured, but the message was clear. Bucky wasn't just running anymore. He was fighting. Then, in August, the manhunt reached a breaking point. 3 New York State troopers were ambushed during a stakeout. One, Trooper Joseph Longobardo, was shot and later died from his wounds. Another, Trooper Donald Baker Jr., was critically injured but survived. That was the line Bucky crossed. Whatever sympathy some locals held for him died with that bullet. Now, the full force of state and federal law enforcement bore down on him. The manhunt grew into one of the largest in New York history. Nearly 400 officers, millions spent, thermal imaging, drones, and elite tactical teams deployed. The woods Bucky once knew like the back of his hand became a trap closing in. On September 8, 2006, after more than 5 months on the run, officers finally got their break. Acting on a tip, SWAT teams cornered Bucky near the Pennsylvania border, hiding in a camper trailer. He tried to flee, again, but this time there was nowhere left to go. Bucky was captured without firing a shot. His body was broken, exhausted, and bullet-scarred from a prior confrontation. His myth had ended with a whisper, not a roar. He was later sentenced to life in prison without parole, with additional time added for the escape, the shootings, and numerous other charges. Behind the escape and the chaos was a man shaped by hardship. Bucky Phillips wasn't a mastermind criminal. He was a product of a system that cycled him through violence, poverty, and incarceration. He was described by those who knew him as both charming and manipulative, a man who could earn your trust while planning his next move. He had a daughter, a former partner, and a scattered family who watched from the sidelines as his name filled headlines. Some saw him as a desperate man, doing whatever it took to be free. Others saw him as a cold-blooded killer who chose to make war with the law. The truth, as always, lies somewhere in between. The jailbreak of Bucky Phillips remains one of the most notorious in recent U.S. history. Not because of how he escaped, but because of how long he survived outside the system and how many lives he changed in the process. It's a story of freedom and consequence, of cunning and cost. A reminder that no matter how far a man runs, the truth and justice will eventually catch up.